And so the measurement of your stupidity is directly correlating itself to the lack of intention that you possess. And so we have to understand that when you move with intention, when you have attention to get something done in your life, you now have to use your mind. You have to format yourself in a specific formation to require and excrete the result that you desire. And so the correlation of the stupidity and the lack of intention is the fact that when you lack intention to get shit done in your life, this will manifest through lower qualities. And so the laziness that you possess in your psyche and allow to ferment in your soul as you ripple out into the universe, the low-level piece of shit bitch that you are, you have to understand that that is a lack of intention. And so when you possess a large amount of intention, you will correlate and correspond yourself and modulate yourself and adapt to life in a certain way where you will be using your brain and creating neurons. You will be in a synthesis of constant neurogenesis and adaptation to build your brain in a certain way that reflects a higher quality of mind. And so most of you guys lack the intention to grow in life. Most of you guys lack the intention. Most of you guys are okay where you're at. You're okay with stagnating, depleting, decreasing, subtracting through time, remaining a subpar piece of shit bitch who can't even look in the mirror and realize the truth of self that is emanating and reflecting through themselves. You see, most of you guys can't even look in the mirror and say that's not what you want to be. And so that right there is going to keep you in a low state of lack of intention. And so what you need to do is truly confront the truth. And the truth will bring forth such a resistance. You will resist who you are to the point where you will create an intention to be better. But most of you guys are okay with staying, remaining, and blaming all your problems on everything but yourself. And you're okay with remaining the same and dwindling and fading through time. And so when we look at the intelligence, well, the way you modulate and operate in reality is going to directly correspond to the level of intelligence. And intelligence is something that you accumulate through the constant of overcoming. And so most of you guys don't understand that life itself operates in a series of patterns. When we look at your life and we look at how your life is manifesting, well, we have to understand that you are operating from a routine. And then when we actually deduce and deduct and evaluate the routine that you exist within, we'll realize that you are in a constant cycle of decreasing. You are in a constant pattern, an infinite fucking loop of the same low-level bitch that didn't do shit to fix some shit. And so when we look at these patterns, when we look at the addictions, right? When we look at you going at Pornhub at 12 a.m. every fucking night, well, we have to understand this is a cyclical pattern and this will manifest. And the reason it's manifesting is because your mind is reflecting the lower qualities of your psyche into that action. And so the actions you take in life is directly reflecting the internal qualities that you possess. And so these qualities will creep in and seep in when you lack intention. When you lack the will of power, when you lack the will of growth, when you lack the will of development, when you lack the will of expansion, well, the lack of intention will manifest as you sit there and stagnate through time. And so everything is in a constant state of evolution. Everything is expanding internally and manifesting that through the external integration of. And so when we look at you, you have not upgraded, you have remained the same, and you have depleted and decreased through time because you believe that you operate in a state of neutrality. You believe that there's a fine line of space where you can stagnate and be okay. But what you didn't realize was the unconscious seeping through your behavior, the porn addiction manifesting through your behavior, the addiction with the motive to passively kill yourself. So now we have to truly reflect on how bad you are and low quality you are as an individual, and then this should spike resistance in your psyche. And this resistance is going to manifest as intention. Now, internal tension. So the tension is going to be a sort of spark. And this spark will either create a fire or you will dwindle and fade, remaining the low-level piece of shit that you are. And so when you let that spark ripple through the fucking space and quantum continuum, you will now possess something called will. And most people lack the will of growth. Most people lack the will to develop into something more. People lack the will to truly confront themselves and do some shit to change some shit. And so what we have to truly evaluate is the quality of your will and the accumulation of. You have to understand that we never miss a fucking day. We never miss a 3 a.m. wake up. We never miss a day in the gym. We never miss a macro count. We never miss pages in the books. We never miss a video. We never miss working on our business. Every day we work at something. We are in a constant state of evolution. And through the actions that we take daily is going to manifest higher quality internal states that allow us to operate at a higher level of self, to operate on a higher level of consciousness. And you have to understand that your level of consciousness is a direct reflection of your level of perception. And so most of you guys are in a low level of perception because you can't even perceive yourself in the absolute truth. You are drowning in the water of delusion. And so when the truth is now revealed and we have to now pull back the curtain of what is hidden beneath your psyche and the depth of the shadow that you refuse to confront, we now see you for what you truly are. And what you truly are is not the individual who sits there and conforms, fakes a smile, sit there and performs something for everyone to believe that this individual isn't low quality. You have to understand that you are performing. Your life is a performance and you exist on the stage of mediocrity. And so when you have a high level of perspective, when you have a high level of perception, when you develop yourself to a high enough level, you will see straight through it. And so when you see it, now we can point it out because they don't have the awareness. And so what we're doing is shedding awareness. And awareness is really light because when you're aware, you can change. But most of you guys don't like the light. Most of you guys hate the light. Most of you guys like to stay in the shadow. And most of you guys like to fade through time. And if that is what you're okay with, then stay that and remain there. But this video, for the people who follow me, for the people in my audience, we obviously know that you're watching this reason for a fucking, you're watching this video for a fucking reason. And so what you have to understand is that the reason you have that intent to be better is because you have something within you naturally navigating you towards. And so the people are so quick to sit there and resist the truth that they will live a life of passive cycles that will lead them to outcomes that they don't want, lead them to being places and spaces they don't want to be. And then when the end of their life is near, they will regret the entire timeline that they existed within. But you have to understand, we don't operate at the same level as these people. We operate on a level where we move through reality like a formidable, tactical individual who will wake up every day like a primordial god and foster the strength and the willpower to move in space and time to get where the fuck he needs to go. Every day we wake up and we compound our development to manifest forth the goals that we truly desire. And so while people sit there and they pretend to play this game, when they sit there and they put on this show, this performance of what the fuck they're not, to hide what they truly are, which is the porn addict at 12 a.m., which is the vape addict who's okay with passively killing themselves, which is the individual with all this insecurity within their mind that seeps through these weird ass behaviors and tendencies that they don't even have the conscious recognition of. Let's truly evaluate you from the way that you conduct yourself. Let's truly look at the reflection of your behavior. When we look at your behaviors, the reflection of what internal qualities are you manifesting forth. And then that is what the fuck you're worth. And so most of you guys, you are entitled. You guys believe that you are worth infinity. But then we look at your habits, we look at the truth, we pull off your psychological mask, and there's the shadow that you truly are. The individual who likes to sabotage, the individual who has a malice intention, the individual who cannot see themselves in the mirror directly without manifesting an inferiority complex because they know deep down they could be much better. And so most of you guys live and stagnate and depreciate in value on this 1% of what you could have been. And so deep down in your soul, you know you could have been more. And so the reason you correlate yourself to the trajectory of the addiction, of the everything that you do to try to escape yourself, the reason you have this is because you exist within a limitation, and that limitation is hidden beneath the shadow. And so while they put on this performance, as they perform like everything's okay, but then again, we have to reveal to them the lower qualities that they exist within, the qualities that permeate the space in their brain and then manifest through the behaviors. And so most of you guys are so deceived by appearances, but not everything is as it appears to be, because the appearance is simply the reflection of the internal qualities manifesting through. And so when we look at the internal qualities manifesting through and why, now we can see that the appearance isn't as it is. And so now you have to sit there and expose and truly look at yourself for what you are, not what you pretend to be. And this is where you guys get in and enter a state of cognitive dissonance. And this is where you guys manifest tensions that are not positive and that do nothing for your development. And so every day we're just going to demonstrate the habits needed to cultivate a higher quality internal state, and then allow this to manifest you the power to move towards your goal like a fucking primordial god. Every day waking up, hitting the 3 a.m. wake up with no fucking difficulty, no lack of intention, no mediocrity allowing to seep into our soul, no conformity allowing to twist ourselves and contort and distort ourselves to fit this narrative of these zoo animals that act out of a state of impulsive behavior that can't even control their fucking internal state. Put you in the fucking worst position and let's see how you act. That's who you are. You're not who you are when life isn't going your way. Life is going your way. You're not who you are when you live life on easy mode. The intelligence is founded within the adversity. And so while you break to little things when you realize that your problems aren't big enough, this is the reason you lack intention. You don't have anything pushing you. You don't have any resistance. And so the reason you choose to conform is because it's much easier to be weak and hate the strong, and it's much harder to become strong and truly work and integrate higher qualities to manifest something with more power. So most of you guys are going to exist on this low quality state, and you're going to remain a marginal fraction of what you could have been. And then you're going to die that shit, and the bloodline of mediocrity that you'll exist within is going to continue to unfold, while the few truly confront themselves and decide to put the sword within the cycle and kill the snake. That's what the symbol is. You have to understand it's all symbolic. Symbolic to breaking the cycle, to being the best version of self, to actually compound, develop into something more, instead of decrease through time through the same fucking habits. You have to understand you're either compounding forward or you're compounding backwards. And so every day we're going to make the fucking decision to compound forward. Well, these people deplete, decrease, and subtract through time because they have nothing better to do, because they couldn't look in the mirror and realize what the fuck they needed to work on, which was the reflection in front of them. You are the canvas of life, and that fucking smear of whatever the fuck that shit isn't gonna cut it when you get into the fucking vicinity and proximity of something that works on its art craft every fucking day and continues that until it hits the casket. It's that fucking simple. Personal development community, link in the description. Peace!